No, 32.
This meeting is being live streamed. We're being live streamed, Brett. Let me do the intro. This is the Chit Chat Money Investing Power Hour. Today is Thursday. What's the date? Anyway, it's 12 o'clock on the Pacific Coast here, 3 o'clock Eastern time. We do this every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. I know that's pretty much right in the middle of the workday, so inconvenient for everyone, but we go live on YouTube where people can ask us questions if they so please, or you can listen to this after the fact on the podcast. I think we do it, it's 3 days delayed, typically comes out on Sundays.
Sunday morning, yes, and you can also watch the old on YouTube. You can watch it an hour or a day later or a week later. All the old streams will be up there as well.
But for anyone that doesn't know, this is basically an hour of riffing on the financial markets. So we can talk about anything. We don't come prepared with anything in particular, but there's been news out, lots of news this week, actually, kind of a jam-packed week. One in particular, quite a large acquisition this morning. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, I gotta say I'm getting all my information from Twitter because I don't actually own the company. So if anything is wrong, correct us in the comments or let us know. But Adobe is buying Figma for $20 billion. I think it was a mix of cash and stock, but I can check to confirm. And the rumor is that that's around 50 times sales for Figma. So the market is not happy. Adobe's down 17%. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what are your thoughts on that when you saw it? Were you scared for all the other software companies we own that might still overpay for something? I thought we were supposed to get discounts in a bear market, but
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, there is some advantage to they can just make it a part of their creative cloud. But so I think they have, and then it's easier to upsell it. But so
Oh,
like,
the synergies. Yes. Yeah. All right. All right.
I mean, they could pay more for it than someone who wants to buy it and just let it run on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But
That's
yeah, it's still a ridiculous price. I think maybe I saw some takes. Some people said that this will be Adobe's Instagram moment where
well,
Meta
okay.
bought Instagram.
Yeah, it's gonna be the best acquisition possibly ever. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Well, I mean, what would you have said when Facebook first bought Instagram?
Well,
That
for
news came out today. I
yeah,
think
I
Instagram
as
was zero
a
revenue at that point.
yeah, but I would have known that every girl in at my high school was on it.
You
I
would have
also
thought,
would have
oh, social
known.
media is a fad, whatever.
No, 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 no. I said I would have, like, look, I think at the time, Meta, Facebook had a market cap of probably $100 billion, or at least, 50 to 100 billion. Can't remember exactly, although it's got to be right around there. And they bought Instagram for 1 billion. I mean, this is a $20 billion acquisition
Pay
of
up for
Figma.
quality.
Uh, yeah, 50 times sales. Look,
So
here's
what the rumor is they have what, like 400 million in sales? Is that what am I doing the math right?
I am seeing 50. Yeah, I'm seeing the number 50 times sales getting thrown out.
Figma
So
also wants to leverage Adobe's expertise in 3D, video, vector, imaging, and fonts to greatly improve product design on the web.
yeah, I bet they wrote a great press release. I'm not, that's not shocking.
Congrats to
Uh,
all the investment bankers that have been assigned to this job.
congrats to the Figma and the no number one congrats to the Figma employees. If you know a Figma employee, I mean, you should talk to them about going to Las Vegas or something because those stock options, I mean, wow. That's going to be some just amazing stuff. Congrats to the venture capitalists. I saw some of the numbers on there, getting some 30, 40 baggers in a few
Yeah, there were
years.
some victory laps made this morning by VCs.
Yeah,
Deservedly so.
Look, you got to trust management. I think that's just the big thing here. Get into a more serious discussion. You got to trust management. Like,
Dude, the
if
Adobe
if I
CEO is
saw,
exceptional.
I know, no, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just like, if I saw this deal, I didn't know anything about Adobe's management.
Oh,
I would be like, oh, geez, like, what are we doing here? I mean, the base rate on 50 times ARR. I mean, the likelihood this deal is bad is high just because of the price they're paying.
I mean, most acquisitions results in a poor ending.
Well, regardless of that, the price they're paying matters. And I think if you don't like, if you haven't vetted management, if you don't trust the team there, whatever you need to get to, like you're gonna be really upset here. And I think that's just kind of, it's an example of how you have to trust management if you're gonna be a, buy and hold, compounder, whatever you want to call it, long-term stockholder of a company, because they're gonna make decisions that you disagree with. And yeah, if you don't trust management, that it's just gonna, push is gonna come to shove and you're likely gonna sell.
Figma was first founded 10 years ago by Dylan Field and Evan Wallace, and the collaborative design platform has become key for many businesses in recent years. Thousands of designers and developers at Microsoft rely on Figma every day to build Office, Windows, and more. It's used so heavily at Microsoft that it has been testing the company's relationship with Adobe, a close partnership that will only get closer now.
Yeah, yeah. You could yeah.
I'm just
You could
reading
you
off the press release.
I know you could have an IQ of 50 and
It
understand the
always
synergies
sounds
here.
good initially.
Oh, the center. I mean, come on.
All
on.
acquisitions are great in theory. In estimates, rarely.
Let me for the
execution.
people that are optimistic here. Well, lest we remember the Afterpay acquisition and the Twitter threads and the blog posts and all the investors talking up the synergies.
The ecosystems are colliding.
Exactly. We're a two ecosystem, whatever they were saying. It was so galaxy brained. Just remember that. And they paid probably the same multiple, right? I'd say a similar multiple for a slightly larger business. Look at that. I'm just so surprised at the price they had to pay here. I mean, I thought this was a bear market.
It's probably a testament to the business, to be honest. That means they were probably not struggling at a time when every other business was struggling. I'm guessing. I don't think this company had declining sales.
Well, that's true.
Got bought out 50 times.
That's
I
true.
did see, did you read the short report on Latch? Looks kind of interesting.
I liked it. I saved it for later on the old Twitter. I didn't read it yet. Following the company as, to be honest, a potential long about a year ago, I can understand why it could be a great short candidate because basically everything has gone wrong.
I think
it's been on my watch list.
I provided a nice checks and balances system for you there.
Yeah, I almost took a flyer on it, but I mean, I don't think I would have bought, but it was pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. How about
the,
I think that's another example of the old cliche of don't buy something until it's been public for a couple of years is true. Like, that's
and you always think your company, no matter who you are or what company it is, you always think your company is going to be the outlier. And it rarely is. It is good to have like some strict principles in investing.
Probably the only thing that saved me from losing money in Latch. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that rule.
The Patagonia errors.
That was interesting as well. We all like Patagonia.
I saw some commentary from the CEO, I guess for context. I don't want to botch this, but the CEO basically gave the company away to charity. Am I getting that right? Essentially, $3 billion company.
He gave away, yes. And I think, he gave away his stake, his family stake, and I think it was essentially the whole thing. So yeah.
This is what he said. The Patagonia CEO said, I don't respect the stock market at all. Once you're public, you've lost control over the company and you have to maximize profits for the shareholder. And then you become one of these irresponsible companies. I could see him being right.
Wait,
Or
say that quote again. You said it a
I,
little fast.
I don't respect the stock market at all, he said. Once you're public, you've lost control over the company and you have to maximize profits for the shareholder. And then you become one of these irresponsible companies.
I kind of agree. Yeah. I mean, I think and we're stock market investors, so you might say, what? He's insulting, you, but the analyst community is pretty toxic for building long-term stakeholder value because, and I just read an investing conference today where someone was like the company, the CFO was saying, well, gross margin should climb higher, and then like the analyst 3 times just kept repeating, well, what is it gonna be next year? They're like, give me a number of what it's gonna be, and he's like, I don't know, but it's gonna go higher over time. And I think that's kind of another way of saying, the analysts are focused on the short termism. Good comment here from Matt. Wonder if the CEO knows ESG is a scam. I think we need a clarification there. ESG is not a scam if you're doing something like he just did. However, ESG investing for high fees is where I think, Ryan and I would agree is a scam. There's kind of a fine line there, right? Charging high fees.
I think there's 3 reasons you include ESG in your company in some way. Either you generate fees on it, i.e. the investment banks or investors who are selling out ESG funds. You lower your cost of capital, which is what most of the companies do, which
shout out
it is your fiduciary obligation to do so.
Frankly, the green bonds, getting those cheaper rates. I love the green bonds. Yeah.
Or because you genuinely care about the principles and you're actually backing it up with something substantive. I just find it hilarious that companies who clearly, although they may be beneficial to society, companies that clearly don't benefit the environment have ESG reports. And it's not about your impact, it's about your improvement.
Yeah, there was a funny joke from someone on Twitter that did like when I get to your ESG section of your annual report, and it was the 50 Cent laughing in the car and then driving away GIF.
Yeah.
That is exactly I find that hilarious because that is exactly what I do. Because as an investor, frankly, I could care less about your ESG initiatives, especially if you're a software company. Or what do we see the other day recently with our Ubisoft, a gaming company?
And for the people that think Brett's just some anti-earth, anti-innovation,
I'm a big
Earth guy.
I am a big Earth. That's I guess a good way to describe it. Yeah, we gotta get another good comment here. Companies that have a solar company that uses truckloads of coal to create the panels, onshore wind that isn't remotely efficient. As long as the end result looks good, you're in the ESG club, even if you use Uyghur labor over in China. Yeah, I mean, there is the brand value to that. I think this Patagonia guy is probably walking the walk from what I've read about him. I don't know him perfectly, but a lot of the companies, yes. Like, I wouldn't describe
You're still ESG selling $100 sweaters.
Yeah. Well, they have yeah, I mean, they're not.
Maybe there's
no, it's not about his company being ESG, because I think they do some really good stuff. From what I remember, I don't know the company that well. But the specific thing, obviously is good. But there's a lot of companies that brand themselves as ESG, like this comment said, that is not like, it's just that part of the scam. It doesn't mean ESG itself is a scam, but so much of what brands itself as ESG is just a complete scam right now, which
100%.
Honestly is so frustrating.
Yeah. I started reading a book this week. I'm blanking on the name, but I think it's called it's like the way the world works or something like that. And it's basically
Yep, I read it.
yeah,
Yeah, the
about
guy's he's a
basically the
bit. I think I
energy
mentioned.
sources.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it. He's a bit. What do you think of this author? He's a bit. He's a bit.
Cynical.
Yeah, he's a bit condescending, but he seems really smart
I
from what I read.
think it'd be hard not to be condescending or cynical. I mean, yeah, it definitely comes out in his writing, but to be,
He's a
I
bit of a
think,
hater, as I would like. I think that's a good way to describe it too. But it's good. There's
yeah,
a lot of good facts in there.
yeah, I think he probably has to listen to misinformation and ESG crap on a regular basis. That's just not reality.
Yeah, yeah. I guess if you're listening to that all day, maybe you become a little frustrated and angered and annoyed.
What company is the true, should be the true poster boy for ESG? What company
Like,
actually benefits or implements good? Let's focus on the E and not the S and G.
right. I mean, governance is there's some good ones out there, but
No one
a lot of
cares about the G.
well, they
Honestly,
should. They should. I think they should.
they should, but no one does.
Social. I don't know anything about social stuff. I kind of just ignore that in my life. Sorry, but
ESG is
um,
just a shorter way to say environmentally.
climate change. Yeah, it's I mean, oh, what's that nuclear company that went public? New Scale Power. I think that's a public. Let me just confirm. This is not a stock recommendation because I have no idea about the company, but New Scale Power, they're trying to get nuclear back. I don't know. That seems like a good one. That's doing
My
real ish.
advice to the nuclear industry is to rebrand yourself. Be the exact same thing, but just put a new name on it because people cringe at the word nuclear, frankly. And then it's like this reluctance among people to adopt it as an energy source, I feel like, or to put money or resources into it.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough though. It's pretty high. That brand,
Maybe
the brand's
new
embedded.
power. New power?
No, elemental power. I've heard a lot of stuff. Elemental power, atomic power. Those are better.
Elemental. I think that branding would do all right.
Yeah, I think I stole that from someone I saw online. Because that's really what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think a nuclear company is good. I mean, the solar companies are interesting because it's just the input costs are so like carbon intensive, so it's a bit defeating of the purpose, and you have to use so much land.
What did you think of the Nintendo Direct this week?
Pretty standard, pretty standard. Not no real surprises there. There's been a lot of video game showcases. I guess this is just the time period for doing that. Thought it was fine. The more interesting thing made maybe the fact that the Splatoon 3 game, this new kind of a newish brand from Nintendo from I think the first game was 2015. The third game in the series just came out and broke records in Japan for sales. So I don't know. That's one of the best
Can
new
you
brands in all
describe
of.
what the point of that game is?
Well, it's just shooter game for kids because it's like paint. You're shooting with paint. It's like almost paintball, and it's like 4-on-4 or whatever it would be with a lot of the shooter style stuff that works really well. Except it's more animation and it's more, it's like paintball almost, but it's paint. It's not paintballs. It's like shooting liquid. I don't know. There's probably more backstory to the whole universe, but extremely popular game that has really grown in popularity the last, since it started in 2015. I guess it rode the momentum of the Switch, and it's interesting to see a new franchise take hold like that. Personally, don't think Nintendo gets the respect it deserves for building brands like that.
We are shareholders.
Yeah, to be honest, we know this well because we are shareholders, but the
And it's
I don't
gotten
know. It's
less less share of what it's gotten less credit over recent years as well, as evidenced by the performance.
Over the last
Stock
2 years.
performance.
Yeah, over the last 2 years with the stock down. I mean, the direct is fine. It seems like they're, just biding their time until the new one comes out, till the new Mario Kart comes out. That's kind of what I think. They have the new Zelda game, which we already knew was going to sell 20 to 30 million copies. That's not really a big surprise. I mean, yeah, the big thing is just waiting for the new Mario. Well, I guess there's the Mario movie, but that's different than the direct. From a games perspective, I honestly think waiting till Mario Kart 9. It's similar to Take-Two Interactive, where you're waiting for GTA 6. Nintendo's a bit different because it has the hardware take rate on all the games sold on its platform. But I kind of think that the big, event you're waiting for is the new Mario Kart and the new console. Yeah. But they keep putting out, solid amount of games. Wouldn't be surprised. It's almost always first party. Although we are studying someone who has succeeded in third party games, probably the most successfully on the Switch outside of Minecraft, which just such a juggernaut. But Capcom, with its Monster Hunter series, has done extremely well on the Switch, and we're studying them for the not so deep dive next week. To continue the gaming theme. That's another
series. That is a series I do not understand. Like I understand, but I don't understand how it does so well. Don't. I'm not the target audience, I suppose.
I think they're hunting monsters.
No, I know how the game works. I just don't see. I've watched like videos on that series. So I'm just not. I don't get the excitement to play it.
Yeah. Well.
But other developments, Swedish Match, the saga continues between them and Philip Morris.
Yeah, more hedge funds are taking stakes, huh? So maybe
do you remember
deal.
The terms? Do you remember how many shareholders, what percentage of shareholder approval they had to get?
They were looking for 90%, but I think they lowered it to 50%. I haven't followed it closely since we sold. I'm surprised they didn't mention us as the 0.0002% shareholder.
Yeah.
That's gonna.
We were outraged.
We were, for the Swedish Match shareholders that are sticking around, I really hope you get a better deal, because I think you deserve it. It's a bit of a tough situation because it's weird. Like, we were validated that we were correct on the thesis, but we're not going to make as much money as we thought we could. It's just a bit weird.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take the money.
Well, yeah, obviously, but it's like with this situation, you don't know. There's just so much uncertainty, and it all comes down like to if you're one of the funds that can control it. But if you're not, you're betting. It's a bit of a, I wouldn't say a coin flip, but kind of a coin flip, where it just could be dead money at the current price, or something happens and it bumps up to 120, 130, something like that. We'll see though.
It shocks me. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say it surprises me on a day that when Adobe makes that bid for Figma, Autodesk trades down. I would think people flock from Adobe to Autodesk. Seen as parallels.
Investors would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of, to me, I know there's a lot of Adobe lovers out there, and the stock has been an absolute, I don't know, 1,000 bagger since the 80s. I think that's correct. So obviously a great company, but I kind of think it's this spending $20 billion on Figma indicates to me that the moat may have been slightly weaker than people thought. Why else spend the money?
Well, now it's better.
but you had to spend $20 billion. Now, maybe Autodesk is going to spend the same amount on a company, but I just don't see the same sort of threat to that business. So I think it might be a right because just you have to feel threatened if you buy a company at that sort of price,
Yeah.
at that multiple.
And I think that little bit from the article that Microsoft was considering switching from Adobe.
That's a big customer. Yeah.
True.
Microsoft should just buy Adobe now.
Okay, so was Adobe really? There's no way Adobe all-time stock chart.
I think it's 1,000 bagger. But I believe so.
I don't want Adobe stock photos.
Let me just pull it up on Coifin real quick. Free advertisement. Yeah, 128,000%.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I think that's a 10,000 bagger.
All
yeah,
right.
I mean it's.
Here's your question for the episode. What do you think's the next 10,000 bagger?
I'm not looking for 100 baggers. 100 baggers are easy. I'm looking for 10,000 baggers. 10,000 bagger.
Let's say you had to put your marbles in one basket
For a 10,000 bagger.
Okay, you don't have to put all your money in, but what company? Obviously, this isn't just like a fluke of one product doing well. This is like a culture of what it has been strong capital allocation.
I mean, it's been a monopoly. Yeah, not really.
Is there any company that if you had to go galaxy brain and extrapolate out, you could see, and you were holding blindly for 40 years?
Latch? No, just kidding. It has to be small though. So maybe I would say I'm just looking at my watch list, so you can call me crazy, but this one was hyped up a lot. It turned into a bubble stock in late 2021, but Matterport, they're trying to map the world. That's an interesting one. Trading at $1 billion market cap right now, so I think there's that potential. But if it's a 10,000 bagger, probably gonna have to be at least a few $1 trillion in market cap. So I don't know. Maybe that.
What about Ethereum after the merge?
Yeah. Well, what's Ethereum's market cap right now? Like a 500 billion. I mean, 10,000 baggers just out of the question. It's harder to do. It's much easier to do something that's already fairly large, that has a decent, and we'll potentially hit that 10,000 bagger. But I think it's just extremely.
Swedish Match, rest in peace.
Let's look at what they were all time. Let's pull up the chart. Yeah.
What's the greatest performing stock of all time? Do you know?
I think it's probably Microsoft. I would guess it's Microsoft or Berkshire or Apple. Just a hunch though. Swedish Match, 11,000 since the 90s. I think that's when it got recapitalized. Don't remember exactly. So not bad. Although it's ending. It might be Berkshire, since that's been publicly traded for a long time, and then you kind of just hopped on the Buffett bandwagon in the 60s.
True. It would be great. It would have been so cool to be a Berkshire shareholder pre-Buffett and hold through like blindly. You didn't know like what happened.
Oh yeah. But if you were it'd actually be better to be a blind shareholder than follow closely, because if you follow closely, the stock would have done terrible in the early 70s. And you had no idea what he was doing. He didn't start publishing the letters till I believe sometime in the 70s, and the stock did terrible. Yeah, I don't know. Like you would have had no information on them, and you would have seen like what they were trying to do with the remember the complicated organizational structure. I feel like a lot of people would have sold.
God, it's interesting to me that I looked up best performing stock of all time. there is no one answer that I can, there's not a uniform answer across all these different websites.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, most of those are wrong. Yeah.
Hard to
So
track a lot of these.
I think
All right.
a good resource on that though is that 100 Beggars book by Chris Meyer or Mayer, forget how to say his name, but that had a lot of good information on the best performing stocks of all time. And even though some value investor, whatever, if you're that type of bench, you might scoff at that title. It is a fantastic book with a lot of good data in it. It's not just magical 100 Beggars. It's the formula for existing case studies and what makes a stock a 100 Beggar. But sorry, go ahead. Next topic.
Best 30 of the last 30 years. Can you guess the number one?
Monster Energy.
No, Apple.
30 years? Okay, that makes sense. The 90s. Yeah.
You see that stuff about Monster being initially introduced like after 9/11 to help those in the armed services like keep enough energy to like fight wars. I'm pretty sure it's like that was the actual, it wasn't like some, I hope I'm not getting scammed by some random piece of Twitter data, but I'm pretty sure that's actually what the rationale was for starting it.
That's good. That's healthier than the cocaine and meth they used to feed the Nazi soldiers. So we're taking, a little better step forward. Probably a bit better. Although whenever I see someone drinking a Monster, I do not think, and this might be ironic, I do not think high energy. Sorry if you're a Monster drinker, but isn't that right? Or am I just stereotyping the people that drink Monster Energy?
What do you think?
I think low energy when I see someone drinking a Monster.
You think needs energy?
Yeah, maybe that's why they're drinking it, but I would think that they would already have it. Maybe that's like that might be mean. That I don't think it's as mean as I've never seen whatever the famous Trump tweet that I've never seen a skinny person drinking Diet Coke. All timer of just ridiculous take, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of thought of that, like, you see someone drinking a Monster or energy drinks in general, and you always think, man, that person's tired, but it's probably why they're getting the energy drink.
Layoffs at Twilio. More news.
Oh, did you see? Oh, go ahead. You tell the story of.
Twilio apparently announced plans to cut 11% of its staff.
Twilions. Sorry,
there was yeah, I did see that. They referred to him as Twilions. Lawrence Hampton said, "Imagine getting laid off by a letter referring to you as a Twilion." Yeah, that wouldn't feel great. There is so much just like tone deafness out of tech.
Out of the CEOs,
they do not know how to do a layoff properly.
First off,
I don't think anyone's gotten it right. I don't know if there is a right way to do it.
No, don't blog post like, it.
You don't pull the, what is it, Lord Farquaad from Shrek, where it's like,
yeah,
this is
many
of you will die, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. It's kind of like that. I didn't want to have to fire you, but it's come to this, unfortunately for me.
Honestly, don't bring it up unless someone asks about it on a conference call, and then you can say, we're not hiring people. I mean, maybe there's some stuff that's like has to be for an 8K that you have to release, but unless you have to release an 8K or an SEC filing, I would say just keep it quiet because they never, or keep it internal. I mean, maybe, a large company stuff will leak, but.
You know who I think did it well? Honestly, Dropbox. They did it at literally while adoption was high for their product. Like during COVID, a lot of companies they had a little bit of an increase in terms of adoption.
And they got rid of their real estate, right? So they didn't need some of those in-office workers, janitors, and stuff like that.
We're going remote, and just we don't think we require as large of a staff anymore. Sorry, you'll get good benefits.
Yeah, I know. When they give out the excuses of why they're firing them people, and it's not like, it should just be the reason, which is almost always, we don't need you anymore. just say that, and then go from there. Yeah, I don't.
And no matter what, you don't say we are right sizing our cost structure.
No, I had a yeah, I thought I had a good meme the other day or yesterday that I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw it.
I thought that was gonna get more likes than it did, but
He literally opens the letter with Twilions, comma. Over the years, we've made lots of changes to the way Twilio operates.
dude, just
Oh,
yeah. All right. There's more on this type of. Actually, it's sort of well. I have something else that is really. I don't know if it's interesting or nefarious, but besides that, I saw that Google was getting rid of or totally downsizing its. God, let me find that tweet. Okay.
experimental departments, I guess.
Yeah, what's it called? Because then people can look it up if they're interested. Come on, Walter Bloomberg. Where
Google
are you?
Moonshots or something like that.
Nope, let me find it. Let me find it. Did I not like that? Yeah, that was yesterday. All right. Let me find it on the old internet. Google Area 120.
Oh.
They are canceling half its projects. And Area 120 is the place where they would do like the 20% thing, where like
What?
20% of the time you're working on whatever you want. Thoughts on that and companies in general kind of doing this, buckling down on maybe worker efficiency? Does it kind of show a weakness, or do you think it's good? Because I kind of think it might show weakness in, I don't know, a bit, you know what I mean? But it might be good because it may be companies were kind of taking it easy with the bull market demand for some of the products, and Google could be less efficient and still look good to shareholders, but now they can maybe become more efficient over the long run.
If you were an employee at, let's say, one of these big tech companies, do you think you would be more motivated to work when things are going really well? You see your stock price continue to shoot up day after day, and you feel like, and you're being, let's say you're taking stock options as part of your compensation.
Most people are.
And so you feel like, wow, I'm really actually helping. Do you think you'd be more motivated then? Or do you think you'd be more motivated after you saw 15% of your friends get fired?
Uh,
That could be me if I don't step on
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think layoffs can be a good motivator for the people that are still around.
I know
I would be, I would be,
we
I
sound
would,
like jerks, I'm sure, but
I would, no, I'm thinking if I was not the manager, if I was the worker, I would be motivated for sure, to work a little bit harder. Now, if
more
you're at one of those
motivated during
giant
the
tech,
bull market. More
no,
motivated than during the bull market.
I think so. In the
Yeah,
bull markets, or when, I mean, when you're fat and happy, you get lazy. It's just how things go. It's a
I think
cycle. Yep.
existentialism brings out the best in people.
Yeah. Or the hardest workers, maybe that's not the best in them, but the hardest workers for hitting their earnings targets. Because I know we have the investor hat on. Hey, yeah, I think it's a good thing in the long run. It honestly, if you're kind of a short-term analyst, it might be kind of a red flag just for obviously layoffs are huge red flag if it's like if it's a 10% plus of a workforce. But for the long term, I think it can be beneficial these time periods. We've seen it with Airbnb, who had that. They were one of the total, during the beginning of the pandemic, they had the just terrible, terrible stop in demand. And I know Chesky won't stop talking about the story, but the they basically had to stop all spending, stop all expenses, lay off a bunch of people, and they realized that there was a lot of expenses they didn't need, a lot of search marketing they didn't need, and it's helped them with their margins a ton. So I think that could be very helpful for some other companies if they go through something maybe a little bit less stressful than seeing all of your demand go to zero overnight. But
Do you see? Sorry, yeah, no, I think I do think Chesky's maybe talked one too many times about cutting the marketing budget to zero, but
it's a good story.
I don't think every company has the
brand for that.
the ability to do that with their brand. I think Airbnb probably gets a lot of organic searches. But I'm just like reading through the rest of this Twilio letter. And did you see this? It says in bold, am I impacted? In the US, comma, impacted Twilions will get an email within the next 60 minutes, letting them know whether or not their role has been impacted. Could you imagine just waiting there for the next hour, just staring at refreshing your email inbox? What a
Yeah,
horrible way to do that.
I know. You gotta.
You're like sitting
Yeah.
next to your friends. You hear like the chime from the email.
Yeah, I don't know. It's never a good way to do it. Never a good way to do it. What about this? Let me find it from Coinbase. Did you see this from Coinbase? You might have not, because their CEO does threads every day, it seems like. Okay. All right. Here's something that seems benign, but feels extremely manipulative to me. I'm not going to read the whole thread, just the first tweet. Starting today, and this is the Coinbase CEO, Brian Armstrong.
I saw this.
Starting today, Coinbase will begin integrating our crypto policy efforts right into our app. These will help our 103 million verified users get educated on the crypto positions held by political leaders where they live. Isn't that, call me crazy, that's a total scumbag move. Call me crazy.
Why do you think it's a scumbag move?
You're not letting people form like opinions with unbiased information. The information Coinbase is presenting to you is clearly what they're trying to lobby to these representatives to get crypto regulation in their favor. I mean, is it illegal? No, but it feels a bit.
I think if they would have done this a year ago, it would have been maybe a little more impactful.
I still think it could be impactful. But like,
Maybe.
I mean, it doesn't matter because all this stuff is just magic beans, whatever. But I still think it's kind of manipulative because we could see a lot more representatives think, oh, wow, a lot of my constituents really like this stuff. I just don't want to.
It's probably why they did it.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah, it's exactly why that's exactly why Coinbase did this, is to get people to get on their side. But I just don't, it just doesn't seem like, it's kind of, let me see if it's an example here. It's like if
for anyone that doesn't know, do you want to maybe give a little clearer of a picture about what exactly this is?
Yeah, it's what the tweet said. I mean, I'll repeat it kind of. It's just telling them through the app what Coinbase's policy efforts are for, I don't know, United States regulation. So they're gonna tell all their 103 million users, which I guess were counted as users probably because we've had registered accounts. So I don't know how many of those are active, but what positions are held by the political leaders and giving them basically direct contact to, say, your representative in this California county.
And it gives them a crypto sentiment score.
Oh, really? They give them the score? I didn't see that.
So, the Democrat for your state, let's say, has a bad crypto score, has a bad crypto sentiment score. You're not going to want to vote for him. That's the gist of what's going on here, frankly.
That's even worse. That part's even worse. I think it's
very nice. Let's see the quote tweets.
I think it's pretty, I honestly think it's really, really poor taste. It's like, okay, here's the example I was trying to say. It's like if Amazon, through their app or website, kept nudging people about their policy efforts about antitrust for their online marketplace. How much, that's just not, it's just not, no one with any ethics would do that.
No, I think it's really dumb. It's a bummer.
It's a bummer that so much time, we talk about it, so much time, effort, money, resources are spent on absolute, unequivocal BS. It's a shame.
I think Buco Capital had the best quote tweet for it. He says, weaponizing your user base to apply political pressure for regulatory capture is so on brand for Brian Armstrong and crypto, but it doesn't make it any less dumb.
That is true. That I agree wholeheartedly.
Also, if you're, well, I don't think you should vote purely based on your representative's crypto sentiment score, just for everyone's.
What are your take
I'm
on
giving advice?
I was gonna vote for blank, but I wanted to hear his take on Magic Beans. What's his take on the Ethereum
But
merge?
he doesn't own enough Dogecoin for me to feel compelled to vote for him.
Yeah.
That's a pity, really.
Have you been looking at, as a little tease for next week, have you looking at Capcom yet? We're recording tomorrow, so.
A little bit. I've been I kind of like with the video game companies, I like to go through YouTube videos of all the video game franchises that they own.
Yeah.
To
And there's
actually
always
get a grasp on like what the video games, what the gameplay actually looks like and sort of the plot and stuff like that. It's I don't know. I guess it's fascinating, but I wasn't really enamored by any of the IP.
Yeah, it's not.
As like a game, I'm from a gamer's perspective. I'm not really much of a gamer, but I wasn't that excited to play any of the games.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Management seems strong, but yeah. I liked what management had to say. You could just tell reading their shareholder letter that I don't know, founder's been there for 38 years. It seemed like the culture is strong, but yeah, don't want to spoil our takes, but brands aren't. They're just. I was just kind of like, but their execution has been strong on a long-term, time horizon. So hard to tell. They're Japanese, and like Nintendo, they're a little bit more slower moving. They're more patient, so it's kind of hard to get a read on them. But yeah, pretty interesting though. Good one to study.
All right,
I
we got,
think.
what, 13 minutes left?
Yeah. Speaking of gaming, and then I'm just gonna use this as an example for just the strategy as a whole. EA, Electronic Arts, is making The Sims 4 free to play, starting October 18th. Now, that doesn't mean in-game purchases are free, but anyone can download it. What do you think of the move and that sort of strategy in general?
Is making Sims free to play? Sorry, I was a little distracted.
The Sims 4 free to play?
I'm not familiar with the Sims brand, honestly. Like I don't know the game that well.
And you're a shareholder? Yeah, I mean, they don't talk about it very often, but it's actually been really strong. It's $1 billion bookings brand. I think whenever I see this, I kind of think it's a company or it's a franchise. Whenever they're able to go free to play, it's an indicator to me that they're coming from a position of strength.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what Second Life is essentially.
I don't know what your
premise.
yeah, I don't know why everyone uses Second Life as an example because that would but yes, Sims. I mean, kinda. It's just like, yeah, virtual person. You can meet people, talk about the metaverse, really, what it is.
What's it been historically? What, like $60 to play?
I think at launch, yeah, but it's fairly old. And they've had a lot of add-on content, so it was down to like those discounted $20 range, but now they're making it free to play for everyone across all the systems and PC. What do you think about this? After studying Xbox, which again, another tease came out this week for CCM Plus subscribers, we did a whole show on Xbox. Do you think it seems like supply chains for the consoles are making the game industry, and I know mobile's such a large part, but it's really I think that's really the reason the game industry is down this year is because of the supply chain issues, because it seems like people would be buying many more consoles, especially last holiday season, either PS5s or whatever they're calling the new Xbox. than they have given the historical numbers.
I mean, yeah, you cannot get one at a store.
And that, I think I mean, it sounds obvious, but that has to be impacting software demand, or the actual games demand.
Yeah, I think it's a little more muted than it would have been last console cycle because backwards compatibility is more prominent with a lot of the software as opposed to like discs.
Fair. Yeah, but yeah.
So
But
there's
yeah,
still a lot of household. But I think there's probably less people being introduced to the ecosystem than there would be. I think right now it's probably a lot of upgrades. So people that would have bought the games anyways, whereas the incremental sales of like the new customers being introduced to the ecosystem, I think a lot of those probably come from in-store sales, which are non-existent.
oh, of the in-store
Of the
sales
console.
of the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not the one waiting for the drop online, and oh, we're gonna get this right at this time when it comes. We're gonna rush to my computer.
Yeah.
And I honestly think people are putting up buying games until they get this new console, but
Probably.
that might be speaking optimistically. As
No, I think it's right. Yeah. Why pay for the game with slightly lower graphic quality if you're gonna get it anyways 6 months later and have
yeah,
it be much better so you don't have to repay $60 again? I think that's probably still right.
I think this holiday season will be a big event. The Black Friday through holiday season, or not just event. It'll just be a big time. I think a big time period for hardware sales for these consoles. It'll kind of show like, are we in almost a permanent state of undersupply, or are we going to finally fix the semiconductor shortage? But we'll see. We'll see. Could be interesting. I think maybe some of the gaming earnings, Xbox, whoever, PlayStation, and then some of the publishers could be people could be underestimating them if console shortages abate. What do you think about that thesis? I know we don't invest with that short-term time horizon, but what do you think?
Sorry, repeat the question. I just saw that Bear Cave had a Coinbase short report.
Oh, what? Yeah, they're gonna lose all their users. All right, that's yeah, that'll be a fun read though. Oh, he does premium. Well,
Might be
I'm
worth
sure
it.
it is.
All right, yeah. Sorry, repeat the question.
Yeah, you're getting distracted on us.
Yeah.
I gotta remember what I said. Okay, if the console shortages abate, do you think analysts or investors in general might be understating the earnings potential of some of the gaming companies, both hardware and software?
Yeah. I think you kind of answered your own question with the question, but yeah.
Well, it just seems like that's not priced in at all, because I'm
I think a
seeing
lot
it.
of people are struggling to look past the next year, honestly.
Well, I look at a lot of, yeah, that's true. I look at a lot of um publishers or whoever, and they basically get a lot of them get the same sort of analyst estimates, like 5 to 10% revenue growth. And that's because recently it's kind of been muted, especially if you're console heavy. But I don't know, if we get a lot more consoles into people's hands, I think that could accelerate.
It shocks me that the console business is flat over the last decade.
Yeah, some of that was
Blows my mind.
timing. It should get much larger within the next few years. But and I guess I don't know, it depends what you classify cloud gaming as. But I think that could be a driver as well, unless that's this whole other category.
Logitech and Tencent just announced a partnership to develop cloud gaming compatible handheld device. Not probably going to be that meaningful, I would imagine, but
that smells. I only know what you just told me. That smells like flop, because we already have a cloud compatible gaming device, and that's called the smartphone. Like I really think the only right cloud. I think cloud is just going to be really prevalent on
no one's gonna. I don't think people are gonna want to play with their controller being. If you can buy like a $30 cloud compatible controller to play with Xbox on your smart TV, I think that is a better
Oh
gaming
yeah.
experience than just using your phone.
Yeah, that is the cloud opportunity. And PC.
That's what Logitech's doing is they're just they're
Oh,
not building out like their own, like
gotcha.
it's not a full stack device. I believe it's just like cloud compatible device.
A cloud. You mean controller?
Yeah, it's just building.
Oh, controller. Okay. That makes sense. So
They glorified it a little more than controller, but yeah.
They're all right. That's interesting. Why partner with Tencent though? Everyone partners with Tencent.
I think
guess
for
that's-
like the software compatibility, I don't know. Apparently they said Tencent Gaming, they needed their software for something.
Gotcha. In China, you have to go through Tencent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was just one of those press releases that felt a little spammy, but whatever.
Yeah, you realize, yeah, some of the companies love to pump the press release. All right. Anything else? I mean, it's been busy gaming week. We already hit the Figma acquisition, but besides that, earnings season's kind of over, so not much else.
I was listening to that gaming analyst that you mentioned, the guy that went on Invest Like the Best. He talked about like finding gaming brands that are actually durable.
He confirmed all our biases, right?
Yeah, I know, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. But if you had to bet on one gaming brand to still be as popular, if not more popular, in 10 to 20 years, let's go 15 years. What brand do you think it would be?
This is a great question. 15 years is probably the best. Yeah, that's a long enough. I would go either. I'm just going kind of Lindy here. I'm gonna exclude sports because that's cheating. Although that might tell you something. But I'll go Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. Just going with the juggernauts.
Yeah, I would throw Dungeons and Dragons in there, but it's kind of
Well,
hybrid.
that's like board, so
It's
I
like
wouldn't.
hybrid digital.
That has a ton of staying power. Yeah.
League of Legends, I don't know that well.
League of Legends is a bit new too, although it's done extremely well. What's your choice?
Well, I think probably the sporting franchises would probably be the first ones I'd go with because the durability of the sports themselves. And they've just amassed enough scale that it's hard to like disrupt that. But aside from that, I think Call of Duty is going to be, yeah, GTA. GTA is more idiosyncratic than Call of Duty, though.
They've
Mario,
had
I'll take Mario.
Mario. Well, you got to say Mario's more than. I mean, Mario Kart. I think you'd have to go. I think that's because there's so many Mario franchises.
Sure, let's go Mario.
Mario Kart's. That's got to be a good choice. Yeah, I think I might put that actually higher. I think I might put that higher. But Grand Theft Auto's been around for a long time. Grand Theft Auto. I don't know. Let's see. Let me actually look it up. I don't know. When was the first GTA?
Take-Two acquired it like I want to say in 2001.
Well, yeah, but I'm looking up when the first game was made, and that was in 1997. So
The first game wasn't that successful though.
I know. I'm aware. I'm just trying to look at how long the franchise has lasted, you know?
25 years, it sounds like.
And still relevant. How many games can you say? Let's see when the first Call of Duty was made. I mean, some of the Mario ones is kind of the most impressive there. When was the first COD made? Can you guess? Earlier, unless you've been looking it up.
I have
Earlier, before or after GTA? The first GTA. Give a guess.
COD after.
You're right. 2003.
I don't know. It's that late. I would have guessed 01. Xbox really started. What PlayStation 2 came out
2000.
2000,
was-
Xbox 2001.
PS2 was really PS2 outsold Xbox by a ton.
Yeah.
Best selling console of all time still. Although the Switch might beat it soon within
All
a
right,
couple
it
of
is
years.
1:00 Pacific time. That is, I think, gonna do it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Matt, for the questions. Always appreciate having those. If you guys want to watch these live, as opposed to listening to them on the podcast, as always, I know I say this all the time. Look up Chit Chat Money on YouTube on Thursdays at 3:00 Eastern time, and you can ask questions in the chat. I think the live video is pinned on our profile typically. So go ahead, check it out. I'm going to hit a disclosure. Brett and I are not financial advisors. Anything we say or discuss is not formal advice or recommendation. We are general partners at Arch Capital, so clients may have positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.